Okay, so in today's lesson, we need to learn how to solve linear equations. A linear equation is when the power is 1. Power on letter is 1. Okay, our first example is -4. Brackets means multiply. 3x plus 7 plus 3. Parentheses means multiply. X plus 1, close bracket, equals -7x minus 5. To solve a linear equation when there's brackets, you need to start inside of the brackets. Inside of the brackets, you see what we call parentheses. Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We have to do parentheses first. We have to multiply this 3, and I'm going to circle it, to each of the numbers that are inside of the parentheses. 3 times the number x is 3x, and 3 times the number 1 is 3. After you do the parentheses, you need to remember to bring the rest of the numbers down. And now work inside of the brackets, because a brackets is just like a parentheses. We still have not gotten rid of the parentheses and the brackets. They always come first. So what we do now is to get rid of the brackets. And to get rid of the brackets, we do the same thing. We multiply the number that's outside by all the numbers that are inside. There's 4 numbers inside of the brackets. If you have trouble, you're just gonna punch these numbers into the calculator. You are allowed to use calculators. -4 times 3x is -12x. -4 times 7 is -28. -4 times 3 is -12x. And -4 times +3 is -12. And that still equals -7x take away 5. Okay, so now what we have to do is combine the like terms. I'm going to box this and box this together because they're like. And we're going to put a circle around this one and put a circle around this one. Don't box the -7x, nor do you circle the -5, because they're not on the same side. You need to combine the numbers that are on the same side. So we said -12x and -12x is -24, and then we put the x behind it. And then if you're in debt $28 and you're in debt $12, so you've increased your debt, you've increased it to $40 debt. And you bring down the numbers on the other side. Okay, now I'm going to start moving the numbers. Let me copy this and then paste it on the next slide. Okay. Okay, and then I want you now to draw a line to separate the two sides. We need to always move the letters on the left side. Always move the letters on the left side. If you move your letters to the right side, you're going to get confused when we solve inequalities. So you need to remember to move the letters to the left side. So I'm going to move this negative 7x over to this side, and at the same time, I'm going to move this negative 40 over to the other side. But the question is, how do I do that? Okay, we're going to add the 40 to both sides. And then we're going to add the 7x to both sides. Make sure that you line up the terms that are like. And then we're going to draw a line and combine the like terms together. Notice that all the letters are on the left side now, and all the numbers are on the right side. We're in debt $24, but then we paid $7. So we're still in debt. Borrow, that becomes 14 for $17 with that X behind it, and this cancels. We bring down our equal sign, which is that yellow line. And then we combine the numbers on the other side. Negative 7x and positive 7x cancels. We're in debt $5, but we paid $40. So that means we overpaid by $35. That 17x was supposed to be negative 17x. And then finally, to get the x by itself, we do the opposite of multiply, which is to divide. We need to get the x by itself. So you don't divide by 35. That doesn't make sense. You would divide by the number in front of x, and these cancel. And we now have x equals 35 over negative 17. And this is our solution set. And so we just write one solution to this problem. Okay, example number 2. What do we do if there are fractions in the problem? We have x minus 16 over negative 8 plus x plus 7 over 7. And it's equals to x plus 5. Zoom recording. Okay. Negative 56 is the lowest common denominator. Negative 56 divided by negative 8 goes into there 7 times. So we put a 7 on the bottom. I'm sorry, a negative 7, because we said negative 8 can go into negative 56, negative 7 times. And then a negative 7 on the top. What about negative 56 divided by 7? That would be negative 8. So we would put negative 8 on the bottom, and we would put negative 8 on the top. Okay, now on the other side, we can just put all over 1 here because they both have a 1 in common. Negative 56 is what we're trying to get. Negative 56 divided by 1 is negative 56. And then you would do the same on the other side. Okay, we need to make the negative 7 a positive 7 because we're trying to get the bottoms to be negative 56. Okay, so now let's write what we have. We have x minus 16 times 7 plus x plus 7 times negative 8 equals x plus 5 times negative 56. And all of this is over negative 56. Since the bottoms are exactly the same, you're going to cross out the bottom and you're left with x minus 16 times 7 plus x plus 7 times negative 8 equals x plus 5 times negative 56. Okay, now just multiply to get rid of the parentheses. X times 7 is 7x. Negative 16 times 7 is negative 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12. And then multiply out negative 8. X times negative 8 is negative 8x. And positive 7 times negative 8 is negative 56. And then multiply out the negative 56. X times negative 56 is negative 56x. Oh, okay. 5 times negative 56 is negative 280.
Forgot your x.
Don't forget the x. Now, you combine the numbers that are on the same side. So, draw your line across the equal sign and start combining the numbers that are the same. I'll circle the x's and I'll box the constants. Do one side at a time. 7x minus 8x is negative x. Or you can write 1, negative 1x. And negative 112 minus 56, since they're both negatives, we add our debt together and we end up with 168. Bring down your equal and the rest of the problem. Now move all the letters on the left side, on the right side to the left side. And then move the constants to the right side. To do that, we do the opposite. The opposite of subtracting 168 is adding 168. And then the opposite of subtracting 56x is adding 56x. Make sure to line up the like terms. And then we combine, cancel anything that's a negative and a positive. negative and positive, cancel them out, and then combine the like terms together. You're in debt $1, and then you paid 56, so that's 55x. You're in debt $280, but you paid 168. Negative 280 plus 168 is negative 112. And then the final step is to divide both sides by 55. And our solution is therefore negative 112 over 55. Resume recording. Okay. The next objective is solving linear inequality. To solve these problems, you need to remember to flip the inequality when dividing or multiplying by a negative. Okay, our first example is 1 over 16 times 3x plus 4 is less than or equals to. The line underneath means equals to. Negative 1/2 plus 1/8 times 3x plus 1. We're gonna multiply the fraction 1 over 16 by 3x plus 4. So I'm going to circle that and just multiply it to each number. 1 times 3, make sure you multiply top times top and bottom times bottom. 1 times 3x is 3x, and 1 times 4 is 4. And then we have all over, since both of them have a 1 on the bottom, we can just draw one long line and put 1 times 16 is 16. Is less than or equals to negative 1/2 plus, we do the same with 1/8, put a 1 down at the bottom, and multiply the 1/8 to each of those two numbers. Straight across, 1 times 3 is 3x, and then 1 times 1 is 1. And then on the bottom, since both of them have a 1, 1 times 8 is all over 8. Now we have to find a common denominator. The common denominator is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8, so we put 8 on the bottom and 8 on the top. 16 divided by 8 is 2. We put 2 on the bottom and 2 on the top. Make sure that you use parentheses on the top. Since there's two numbers on the top, you have to multiply both by 2. And since the bottoms are now the same, we can just cross them out. We don't need the denominators any longer. And so we now have 3x plus 4 is less than or equals to negative 8. And then we have to multiply the 2 to each of the two numbers that are inside of the parentheses. 3x times 2 is positive 6x, and 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, now we need to combine the like terms that are on the same side. Again, draw a line so that way you can separate the two sides of the inequality. Now we combine the negative 8 with the positive 2. We're in debt $8, but we paid 2. So that means we're still in debt negative $6. And then we bring down the 6x and the less than or equals to and the 3x plus 4. Then we move all the letters to the left side. Always move the letters to the left side. So I'm going to move this 6x, since it's on the right, over to the left. And then I'm going to move the plus 4 over to the right. To move the plus 4, we subtract 4 on both sides. Make sure you line everything up. And then to move the 6x, I just subtract 6x. Now you have $3, but you're in debt $6. So you paid 3, but you're in debt 6. So that means you still owe $3. So that's a minus 3x. And we bring down the less than or equal. Do not flip the less than or equal. You did not divide or multiply by a negative yet. So you need to just keep it the same. And then you're in debt $6 and you're in debt $4. So you have a total debt of negative $10. Okay, now we need to divide by a negative 3. And when you divide by a negative 3, this symbol needs to be flipped around immediately. So you now have a greater than or equals to. And you divide and get x is greater than or equals to. Since 10 can't be divided by 3, we leave it. But a negative divided by a negative comes out to be a positive. And there is our final answer. X is such that this x has to be greater than or equals to 10/3. The line means such that. But that's not important. You could just write x is greater than or equals to 10/3. To graph the solution, you draw a line, put 10/3 somewhere. It's not important where it is. You just label it on the line somewhere. And then you color everything to the right. But the question is, does x include 10/3? If it does, then you must color 10/3 using a closed circle. But if it doesn't equal 10/3, then you do an open circle.